This was not a movie scene, but real footage of the Waukesha Christmas Parade incident. It wasn't a happy Christmas parade, but strange and sad. This is the Waukesha Christmas Parade attack case.
More than 20 individuals were injured as a result of this incident. The Waukesha Police Department has recovered a suspect vehicle. It's an ongoing investigation.
Who was driving the car? Why did they drive like that? Were they drunk or something else? Watch the video until the end to find the answer to all these questions. Waukesha, a town near Milwaukee, Wisconsin, usually has a Christmas parade in the downtown area every year, but in 2020, they had to cancel it because of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, they brought it back, and it was the 58th time they did it. The parade had more than 60 groups participating, and the theme was comfort and joy. It was a special event where people came together to celebrate and feel happy during the holiday season. But who knows, this might be one of the biggest nightmares for the people. On November 21st, 2021, at about 4:39 p.m., a guy drove his red SUV fast through the Christmas parade in Waukesha. The parade was supposed to be a happy event, but this guy drove past the barriers and didn't stop, even when a police officer tried to make him. Another officer even had to shoot at the SUV to try and make it stop. People were recording the parade and posted videos on social media. Two people who saw it happen said the driver didn't stop, and all they heard was people screaming and crying. It was really scary. The police later said the driver was trying to hit as many people as possible on purpose. It's awful when something meant to be joyful turns into a terrible situation like this. Right after the car hit the people, 5 were confirmed dead and 48 got hurt. The ones who passed away were 4 women and 1 man. 4 of them were part of a group called the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies, a dance group made up of grandmothers. 28 people went to the hospital, and 9 were in really bad shape. 17 kids were among the hurt people, and 3 of them stayed in the hospital until early December. After 2 days, by November 23rd, the number of injured went up to 62, and sadly, the number of people who died went up to 6 because an 8-year-old child didn't make it. Sadly, this happened, and the ages of the people who died were between 8 and 81. It's a tough situation for everyone involved. Fear quickly spread throughout the town, causing people to get angry and stay inside their homes. An eyewitness named Jaden Singsime recorded the incident and later posted a video with his mom, sharing detailed information about what happened during that incident.
So suddenly and so quick, and the truck came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you just hear the sound of people getting hit.
The sound was crazy.
The sound was scarring, and so was the image of it.
After the investigation, the police found a damaged Ford Escape and arrested a guy named Darrell Brooks Jr, who is 39 years old and from Milwaukee. They caught him on the night of the attack when he asked a Waukesha resident to use his phone for an Uber. The resident didn't know about the attack and let Brooks in for a bit, but when the police came, he asked Brooks to leave. Brooks surrendered to the police without causing any trouble. Before this incident, Brooks had some legal issues. In July 2020, in Milwaukee, he was charged with shooting at his nephew and a friend after a fight. He didn't post bail initially, but got released on a reduced bond later. At the time of the attack, he also had a warrant for a sex crime in Sparks, Nevada, from 2016. Almost 10 years earlier, in 2006, Brooks was convicted of a felony for a statutory sexual seduction case in Sparks, where he impregnated a 15-year-old girl. He spent time in prison and was released in 2008. Brooks had other criminal charges in Wisconsin in 2005 and 2010. Just 3 weeks before the Waukesha attack, he was arrested for hitting his ex-girlfriend and ramming her with the exact vehicle during a dispute at a gas station.
I pulled my squad over, I exited my driver's side of the vehicle, came around to the front of my vehicle when a short black female who was wearing what appeared to be a blue coat and blue jeans walked in the front of my patrol vehicle. There was 2 other subjects that were with her, and they started to indicate that she had been assaulted by a boyfriend of some type, a little bit 45 degrees away from me. So I kind of stepped and looked a little bit to the side, and I could see that her face was swollen. There was obvious bruising on it. She had an obvious black eye on one side of her face. The other eye also looked like it was swollen, but it was appear that she had facial injuries that were obvious.
He posted bail 2 days before the Waukesha attack. It seems like he had a history of legal troubles. At first, Brooks was charged with 5 serious counts for causing intentional harm. But when a 6th person died, they raised his bond to $5 million, and he stayed in jail after his first court appearance. The person in charge of legal matters in Waukesha said they might add more charges, and indeed, on November 29th, they added a 6th serious charge against Brooks. While he was in jail, Brooks talked to a reporter and said he felt like people were making him out to be a monster. His mom wrote a letter to the media explaining that Brooks had struggled with mental health issues for a long time. and he didn't have insurance to pay for help. Later, in December, they added more charges for what happened on November 21st. This time, it included things like intimidating a witness and victim, both of which are serious crimes. They said he called his girlfriend from jail and threatened her to stop her from helping with the investigation. Then, in January 2022, they piled on even more charges for the parade attack. 77. These included 61 counts for putting people in danger with a dangerous weapon, 6 counts for hitting and running that led to death, 2 counts for breaking bail rules, and 2 counts for domestic abuse. The last charges were connected to 2 fights between Brooks and his girlfriend on the day of the attack and the day before. It seems like a lot is going on with this case. On January 14, 2022, the court decided that Brooks would go to trial because there was a lot of evidence against him. A police detective testified that they shouted at Brooks to stop while he was driving his car in a zigzag and hitting people.
And she said, "Officer, I saw what happened. I saw who did this." And I said, "What can you tell me?" And she said, "A red SUV sped through the parade and did this."
Brooks's lawyer said he was high during the incident, mentioning that the police noticed he smelled like cannabis and had red, glassy eyes. The lawyer also argued that Brooks didn't mean to kill anyone because he couldn't even look at pictures of the victims. The district attorney disagreed, saying Brooks could have stopped and that even if he was high, he still did many bad things. On February 11, 2022, Brooks said he wasn't guilty of any charges. His lawyer asked for the trial to be in a different place, saying people in Waukesha were too upset about what happened. They also wanted a different judge, without giving a reason. The court said no to the first request, but yes to the second, changing the judge to Chief Judge Jennifer Doro. The trial was scheduled for October 3, 2022. Before the trial, 1 charge of domestic battery was dropped. During a hearing before the trial, Brooks asked if he could represent himself. The judge said okay. In the trial, Brooks talked about ideas from a group called the Sovereign Citizen Movement, which believes they don't have to follow the law.
Do understand my rights under the United States Constitution, yes.
Did you hear what I said?
Repeat it.
Do you understand that you have the right to have an attorney represent you, what we call the right to counsel?
Under the 6th Amendment, correct?
Under the 6th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the Wisconsin Constitution as well. It's a well-established right that a criminal defendant has. Do you understand that?
I'm aware, yes.
Brooks said he was a sovereign and didn't want to be called by his name. He questioned if the court followed common law or admiralty law and argued that the state of Wisconsin couldn't file a claim against him because it was not a person.
This right to appear in persona today and act as a sovereign citizen. Sir, my concern here today is there's a request from your attorney to withdraw from this case. Do you understand that's the request before me today?
The judge said he couldn't use these arguments in court because they didn't make sense. During the trial, Brooks caused a lot of trouble in the courtroom. He interrupted, talked back to the judge, and had other outbursts.
So that
No, it's
you
not.
understand
Ain't none of
your
this to benefit
witness
me, so let's
has
be clear
a
about
prior
that.
On October 24, 2022, he was supposed to defend himself, but because of his repeated misbehavior, the judge decided he couldn't call more witnesses, including his mother. The trial's evidence stage was declared over, and closing arguments began on October 25th. The jury then started thinking about their decision. Before Brooks gave his closing argument, he asked the judge about jury nullification. The judge warned him not to talk about it because it wasn't allowed. Brooks argued with the judge but eventually agreed to continue. However, during his closing argument, he brought up jury nullification again. The prosecution objected, and the jury was told to ignore that part.
would hope it would convey to you. I'm looking for an answer. So which filing are you referring to?
All
With
my
specificity.
filings, my notice of appearance, my statement of particulars, my bond, the court docket sheet, all of those filings.
The request to display those to the jury is denied. It's not relevant.
How's it not relevant? Not even your
That's my
oath of office?
determination, sir.
On October 26th, the jury said Brooks was guilty of all 76 charges after thinking for 3 hours and 15 minutes. On November 16th, 2022, Brooks was sentenced. The judge gave him 6 life sentences without parole for each person who died, one after the other. For the 61 reckless endangerment charges, he got 762 years of initial confinement and 305 years of extended supervision. He also received 150 years for the 6 hit-and-run charges, to be served at the same time as the reckless endangerment sentences. It was a severe punishment for what he did.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 36 of the information. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of hit and run as charged in count 73 of the information.
After being sentenced, Brooks appealed his conviction, and sought a stay of judgment while facing suicide prevention measures. Currently incarcerated at Waupun's Dodge Correctional Institution, he remains there as of July 2023. Following the incident, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers thanked first responders, and President Joe Biden condemned it as a horrific act of violence. Senators Tammy Baldwin and Ron Johnson urged against politicizing the event, while Pope Francis conveyed prayers. Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow requested community prayers. The attack stirred debate over bail reform, as Brooks had been released on $1,000 bail just before the incident. The Milwaukee District Attorney's Office acknowledged a mistake, clarifying the low bail wasn't due to systemic changes. A court commissioner involved in setting the bail was reassigned. Our heartfelt condolences to the victims' families. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for more explorations into history's most intriguing mysteries. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and as always, seek the truth.